Well, a good day to you. And how's everything going? In case you don't recall, I am Marvin Newhart, your host for this course, and just all around good guy. Today we're going to talk about Chapter 5. I put it on a little bit early because I know that some of you complete your assignments for the previous chapter and you want to go on. There's quite a little material in Chapter 5, and I want to go over the assignments with you, and since I want to, I am going to. And hopefully, as we go through this, I will be able to answer some of the questions that you may have. So, like I say, if you have any questions and they're not answered, you can go ahead and send me an email, ask for an answer. I really, really appreciate what you folks have done so far. I think it's tremendous. And it just looks like we're going to have a wonderful, wonderful semester. Okay, hope all is going well for you. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I want to go over Chapter 5, the assignments in Chapter 5. And so right now, we're going to go ahead and do that. Hopefully I can go over all the chapters. There's one assignment that is not on yet. I told you it was in the process. Chapter 5 was in the process of being revised. And I pretty much have it the way I want it. And so I'm going to go over this with you so you have a better idea of what to do, and your life will be better for watching this video. I guarantee. Okay. Now, if we look at Chapter 5, Chapter 5 is about addictions. I think that this is an interesting area of study, and it kind of serves as the basis for many of the chapters, or even the rest of the chapters in this course. We have two types of addictions. We have a substance addiction. That is where we consume some substance, maybe not we, but individuals do, and they're ingested, smoked, taken in through the stomach, taken in through the nostrils, but anyway, they are ingested. These substances can then pass what I call, and you probably do too, the BBB, which is the blood-brain barrier. We've talked a little bit about the blood-brain barrier. And if a substance cannot cross the blood-brain barrier, it cannot get to the brain. So even though it may be, and just as an example, heroin, if heroin cannot cross the blood-brain barrier, it will not have an effect on you. And another aspect that I want to emphasize here is that substances do not cause, but they trigger the types of feelings that individuals have. Now, just as an example, if I held my hand up like this, it's in the shape of a gun. No, it's not loaded. It won't go off. But I'm just giving you an example. I'm holding my hand up like this, and the trigger is pulled. And then we have on a gun what is called a hammer. That's this part right up here. The hammer strikes the bullet, and then the bullet goes out. So that is the same way that we have with drugs working in the neurons. The substance will pull the trigger. They are a trigger agent. And then when this trigger is pulled, and the hammer hits the bullet, then the bullet comes out. I'll put this thing away before it really goes off. As an example, and I know that it's more complicated than this, but I'm just going to give you an example of what we are talking about. Let's say that we have a neuron, and we have the dendrites, and we have the cell body, and we have the axons here. And these here nodes are René. And of course, in between here, we have the Big Bang Theory. And then down here, we have more branches coming in here. And these branches have then receptacle sites on them. And the receptacle sites are changed and varied. And all have receptacle sites. And then from these sites, now this is the axon coming down here. And these receptacle sites go over the synaptic cliff. And we have this here. And this here is the dendrite. Remember, the dendrite listens and the axon speaks. We have this electrical charge coming down here. Then it converts into a chemical messenger. And that is this chemical messenger right here. Now, let's just say, remember, this is a simplified way, simplified method, but let's just say, and I'm going to take this here, and I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to look at it at the site like this here. This is the axon. This is the receptacle site here. I'm enlarging this a little bit. And then it goes to the dendrite. Now, this is what happens with an addiction. This is what happens. We have our natural occurring chemicals in here, and then they go across this space here, the synaptic cleft. But what happens if a substance is ingested and it floats around here, and let's say that it looks something like this, and it floats around here, and it floats into this area here, and it fits kind of in here. Not perfect, but it kind of fits. Now, it has to cross the blood-brain barrier, and it has to fit. All right. So it fits here. Now, what this can do then is block the chemical from coming here, or if the chemical is released, the chemical, our own natural occurring chemicals, is released in this area here, it can block the reuptake. Because we know these chemicals come out, then they send a message here, and then there's a reuptake process. So, when we have a substance, it can fit in here, and it can block the chemical from going across the synaptic cleft to the dendrite, or if the chemical is already in this area here, it can stop it from going back into the axon bud, terminal bud here. All right, are you with me? Now, what happens here is if this is ingested, substance, when we had heroin, I'm not quite sure. We're taking heroin for an example, and some of the drugs can go up in here, and some of the drugs can stimulate here, but we're just looking at an overall picture. What happens here, if this substance fits in here often enough, our brain says, hey, I do not need to produce as much because we're getting the effect. Well, the effect is really coming and being triggered by here. Again, not causing it. The euphoric feeling that we have, the inhibitions that we may have, come from our own chemical. Okay, so then The brain says, I don't have to produce as much. So then it cuts down on production. But still the brain needs so much. So then what it requires is some additional substance here to make up for what the brain is no longer producing. Now withdrawals is pretty much the same thing. It can go through here. This is no longer taken. This might be somewhat damaged in here. Then we're going to have to increase production. We're going to have to heal this damaged area in here because remember, this did not quite fit. Fit pretty good, but not quite. And as a result, there's a healing process that's taking place in the brain. Plus, there is an increase in the volume of our natural chemicals. Now, this is a very, very crude way of saying it. You will have the mouse party, what is called the mouse party, to further explain this. So, what we have here, we have a substance, a trigger. It's a trigger. It's not a cause. And then we have the behavioral. And the behavioral is just a routine or a habit without a substance really being involved. And what this happens, it causes the neurons to fire together often enough that the pathway is created so plainly, starting an automobile. No one really thinks, after they've started and driven for a while, that it's really much of a problem to drive an automobile. They can do it without even thinking. Okay, we have a film, The Addicted Brain. Kind of dated, but it is a good film. Then we have Chapter 5. We have Altered States, which is a crash course. Homunculus, which finally got on. And then Disease. This is a forum here. It's going to be on shortly. And this goes into, the length of time goes into the month of October. Then we have Mouse Party. Now, in addition, a Mouse Party shows us what some of the various drugs do. This will be informed. Then we have test and measurements. I've noticed that many of you have been working on test and measurements. Some of you have not been working on test, and that's okay. That's okay because they're not due yet. But I think that when we have an exam review, it will really be beneficial to work on test and measurements. Now, I hope that this will help. I put Chapter 5, like I said, on a little bit earlier. I know that some of you kind of like to work ahead, and some of you are working ahead. And so this will give you an opportunity to get in there and complete your assignment at a reasonably sooner date. If you wish, you have the given time, and that's okay. But if you wish to complete a little bit sooner, this will give you the opportunity. Okay, this kind of goes over Chapter 5. I want you to remember that The Addicted Brain is a video, that it is somewhat dated, that it is, in my opinion, very good. I've looked at some of the updated versions of videos like this, and I don't think that they were nearly as well done as what The Addicted Brain is. So once again, I hope that you folks are being able to grasp the material. I hope that there's a benefit from the material. If you don't, you can ask a question and we can go over it. So until then, and I'm back again, you have a good day, a good week, or until we meet again, we'll be seeing you. Bye.